Colonel Conricus, for joining us as always. Good to see you again. Big picture, where are we in all of this? So what was your reaction not only to the hostage release over the weekend, but to the process and your level of optimism going from phase to phase now?
Well, hello. Thanks for having me back. I would say that the region, specifically Israel, we are in limbo. There's no fighting, and we are at ceasefire on the Gazan front, and there's a ceasefire on the Lebanese front, but we are still very much at war. The beautiful scenes that we've been seeing of Israelis being repatriated and embraced by their families, they're moving and they're tremendous, but they are only part of the picture. And the real reality is that as long as Hamas exists in Gaza, that means that we will have additional fighting. If you ask how optimistic I am that we'll get all of our hostages back, sadly, I fail to see a scenario where Hamas agrees to release all of the hostages and actually does it. I think they will hold back. I think they will keep Israeli and international hostages as a leverage. I hope to be wrong on this, but I fail to see them do it because that is their strongest leverage, and that's how Hamas stays alive. It's that and international aid.
Okay, so you talked about being in limbo. Tablet here, we have ceasefire deal being explained in the next phase of it, and how do we get here? Because you get the Netanyahu meeting tomorrow. Obviously, you want to get to a situation where you have the remaining hostages released, and the ceasefire becomes permanent. Then Israeli forces withdraw. There's been some questions raised about the incentive structure for the prime minister and whether he's incentivized to go forward or not. The opposition leader with new comments on that. Watch.
President Trump will meet Prime Minister Netanyahu in Washington. It's important to make crystal clear before that meeting. Netanyahu has a political safety net from the opposition for the deal for every stage. There is no political reason preventing Netanyahu from going to the next phase.
What would you say, Johnathan, about that Netanyahu's incentive to go to the next phase, preview of the meeting tomorrow?
I think it's significant, and I think that beyond the core mission and the responsibility as prime minister of getting Israelis back home, I think that there will be other incentives that will be regional. And I think that there are other things on the table regarding Saudi and perhaps other positive things where that will compel the prime minister to do so. Now, it is important to mention, however, that as long as Hamas is there, that means that there will be fighting, violence, suffering, instability, and terror. Only when Hamas is removed, only when Hamas doesn't govern the Gaza Strip, will we start the process of rebuilding Gaza, and can we think and dream of a different future? Until that happens, even though many beautiful things can happen in the region and we can have normalization and peace and prosperity, that's tremendous. But locally, Gaza, Hamas equals war.
No, understood. Certainly from your point of view that would be the case. The question, though, of Netanyahu, from his point of view, when he comes in tomorrow, there were some families saying that they believe that some of what they described as extremists in his coalition would push him one way, and that there would be some sort of an attempt, as I saw it put, to quote unquote sabotage the deal. Is anything like that a risk in your view?
Yeah, well, that exists, but I would say, and I've been looking at the actions of Envoy Witkoff. And I think he has a very smart read of the political situation. And I think he's been attacking or focusing his attention on the troublemakers. And I think he looks like a very effective person at doing what needs to be done in order to get showstoppers out of the way, move forward with what the president wants. And that is a deal. So there's, it exists, but I wouldn't read too much into it at this stage. There's tremendous support in Israel for getting all of the hostages back, even if, from a strategic point of view, it doesn't ensure future security for Israel.
Right. Okay. Interesting take on that, and comments as well about the president's old friend, Steve Witkoff. Thank you, Johnathan. Johnathan Conricus with us. We'll watch that meeting tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.